Welcome back to the Road to National series. In today's episode, I'm going to take you through a deload lower workout whilst I am on holiday in Italy. So as you can see, I don't have access to a gym, and I'm going to show you how I think you should train a lower workout if you find yourself in the same position. So first things first, I started off with goblet squats using this umbrella base because that was the only weight I had access to. So that is, of course, the first tip is take advantage of what there is. Maybe scout around a little. When I first arrived, I just started writing things down that I could use. So if you watched last video, I did an upper workout on holiday and there was like a corner railing that I could do dips off. I immediately wrote that down and just jotted out some sort of idea of what workout I'm going to be able to do. So I tried to start with a compound movement like I normally would. Deadlifting wasn't really an option, but squatting off this small elevated heel point in the doorway seemed to be good. And of course, I don't have access to enough weight to challenge myself in the sort of like 5 rep range or something heavy like I normally would at the beginning of my powerlifting workouts. However, the solution to not having enough weight or resistance in general is reps. So it means that it's a very different type of workout. This was taxing the work capacity of my muscles way more than usual. I can't remember exactly how many reps I got. I think I did sets of 30 on these to begin with. And the time of detention's like over 1.5 minutes per set. So these were very challenging, and something I should say about the workout in general is the DOMs from this workout were unbelievably crippling. It actually meant that when I got back to the UK, I didn't do another leg workout. So with the upper, I managed to do another upper deload, and the plan was to do another lower deload in the gym when I got back to the UK. The DOMs from this workout, like in the quads and the calves, lasted almost an entire week. They lasted about 6 days and they were vicious. So this definitely hit my muscles in a way I'm not used to, and that is because I'm not used to squatting in such rep ranges and training in general. This whole lower workout is with higher rep ranges. So you'll find that when you do something a little different, it can tax your system. And it's actually inspired me to include more sets like this, probably on my accessories rather than my main work when I'm back to normal training, but to do lots of higher rep set as well as lower rep sets. Obviously, for strength gains, doing lower reps is great. You get neurological adaptations and it really helps develop your strength. But doing this helps develop the work capacity, and I want the ability to squat for 1.5 minutes straight without not being able to walk for like a week after. So these were very effective. They felt very good. My right knee injury that I'd been working through felt fantastic. Usually I found higher reps harder than lower reps, interestingly enough, for my knee injury, and that was because just repeatedly doing the joint action of squatting down low hurt my knee. However, in this workout it was completely fine, so they felt fantastic. Have sort of jelly legs there at the end, and it did fatigue the lower back holding that weight in front of me, making my back want to cave forward. So moving on to the second exercise I decided to do, because I had a leg push to begin with, I wanted to do a hip hinge. They're the main 2 actions I always try and hit during my workout. So of course I said I didn't have access to a lot of weight, but I sort of did Jefferson curls / RDLs here, again just with the weight of the umbrella stand. I think it was probably in the range of 10 to 20 kilos, which is like 22 to 44 pounds. Let's say 15 kilos, like 33 pounds is probably what this weighed. And it was actually pretty effective. So these felt really easy to start off with, even easier than the squats. But because the squats had already pumped the lower back up a bit, like I mentioned, it meant that I did manage to target my posterior chain pretty well, but not as well as I normally would have, and definitely not as well as like my quads were hit on those squats, because I didn't really have any DOMs like in my lower back or glutes or hamstrings after this workout. And they're definitely going to be harder to hit when you're doing a workout like this, when you don't have access to a gym. That's because your hip extension's usually pretty strong. Like I've done 200 kilo RDL, so this really just didn't hit the spot. But it was good, particularly for a deload week, to do something. Often when you're on holiday, people feel like, I'm on holiday, what's the difference? Like a workout like this, it's not heavy enough, it's not going to do anything. It absolutely is. And I've actually started my training back this week. I'm just releasing these videos slowly, but I feel fantastic this week back, and I largely attribute that to doing some workouts like this during my deload week to help prime me for when I come back. If you just rest and don't do anything, that is definitely worse. Also, something I forgot to take was bands. Now, that is an amazing tool to take with travel because they can add so much exercise variation. So instead, my next exercise here was reverse Nordic curls. So these were to hit the quads a bit more. Now, if I'd known I was going to have such crippling quad DOMs, I probably wouldn't have done these, or I wouldn't have done these as hard as I did, because I think the squats adequately stimulated my quads, definitely for a deload week. I mean, in total, I love to push to failure. I also believe in pushing to failure. This year in particular, I've pushed to failure on almost all of my accessories, at least the second sets. I now just do 2 hard sets per exercise, as you can see in this video as well. And because of my love of pushing to failure, and I just feel like a set isn't complete without it, I did push in general too hard on these holiday workouts. It was also something new and something interesting, and I wanted to see like how many reps can I get of almost body weight squats, things like that, and it led me to push a bit harder than I should, which is why I got such horrific DOMs in the days to follow. But these were fantastic. These, if you don't know, are basically a substitute for quad extensions if you don't have it. It's a very similar joint action. It's sort of like sissy squats as well, but it is only sort of hitting the stretch on the quads effectively. So you are working the quads, but obviously the fully contracted version of the quads roll of knee extension, is when the leg is fully straight, like in the top position of a quad extension, and this exercise clearly doesn't hit that. However, the stretched position was probably better than a quad extension. You rarely hit this sort of harshly bent knee position with your body leaning all the way back, so that was very nice. And it's meant that in the future, maybe when I upgrade gyms, or if I have access to a gym that will allow me to stretch my body like this on a quad extension, I definitely want to take advantage of that. I think that's an underutilized variation. So the stretch on the quads is probably also what contributed massively to the tenderness and soreness that I felt after, and I think that hit the quads very effectively. But yes, if I had bands, I'd have probably sat on a chair, anchored the band around that railing you can see in the corner, set up a chair facing away from it, and done banded quad extensions, for example. So there's so many exercises you could do with the band. You could lie on the floor, again, anchor the band to the railing and do band and hamstring curls as well. There were loads of upper body exercises, so I'm a bit annoyed that I forgot to take the bands. I would definitely recommend investing in them because they're very cheap and effective, but instead this workout is a pure workout for if you have access to no equipment. So again, taking advantage of your surroundings with this last exercise here, it is calf raises. So I saw this little elevated platform, and body weight calf raises, I could probably have done single leg calf raises if I'd wanted to go heavier. I just didn't really think of them at the time, and this was actually on my last day of the holiday, and we needed to pack and get ready. I had about half an hour after this set, or these last 2 sets of calf raises, to get packed and out of there. So I didn't have enough time to like waste around doing single leg calf raises, but this little elevated platform was great. It helped me go a bit lower and get a better stretch on the calf, and for my first set here, I decided to do straight legs. Now, because you're going so light with body weight calf raises, you can just keep going, and it means that pushing to failure is very easy, but it means that like the last 10 reps keep burning, particularly with the calves. They're such strong muscles and they have such great stamina. You're used to walking around on them all day. They can just keep pushing, so you can really get a burn. And then on this second set, you'll notice my knees are more bent than the first set, and that's just because it prioritizes a slightly different head of the calf. There's the gastrocnemius femoris and the soleus, and straight-legged calf raises hit the stretch a bit better, particularly if I had a higher platform to do these off, but bent knee calf raises seem to hit the contraction a little differently. So I decided to do both in order to hit both heads of the calf effectively. So that is pretty much it for today's workout. Next episode, I will be back in the home gym. It is the quick sort of upper deload workout. Again, like I said, I didn't manage to get another lower deload workout in. And then it's back to normal training. So yeah, I decided to come back and do a few extra calf raises here as well because I had the energy. So that is it for today's video. I hope you did in fact enjoy the video. If you did, drop it a like, drop it a comment, subscribe, click the bell, all of those good things, and thanks for watching.